This should be interesting. So do you have the spawns set up, in their furthest point away?
No, they're actually in the original spot where they would spawn in the INS version.
So like in the middle?
Security would spawn right behind the tank station, and Insurgent spawn right behind the... what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, interesting. Oh, in that like back alley area near the mosque?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, this should be interesting.
Of course, they're easy to change, actually, without doing too much.
Yeah, that's a good thing about, the setting up that customization and sort of thing. Through scripts, you can easily change around spawn locations and objective values, that kind of thing. Because at this stage of the game, we want to test, try out different things, try and come up with something new, and then still have the ability to set it to like the best possible experience once we discovered it.
Yeah.
Nice. They're all over the rooftop.
Did we start out with 3 waves initially?
On this one?
Didn't notice, yeah.
No, it's 1.
Okay. Yeah, that's something we're changing in the next update. Will be skirmish by default. You start with 3 waves each team. And I think we were playing that last week when we were playing skirmish on the smaller maps also with 3 waves, and on the bigger maps with 3 waves, and it felt like, that was the sweet spot.
Yeah, I think that's a very good choice for longevity of the gameplay itself.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing in skirmish, with fewer reinforcements, but you still have more objectives that you can secure without that sequence. I mean, it makes a lot more sense in battle to have more waves because you have less opportunities to gain more waves, but in skirmish it's the opposite. So that's a good kind of differentiating factor between the two. But I certainly play much more cautiously and tactically in this kind of mode where I know, I'm out of waves.
I generally play the same no matter what. And I always play tactically, which is I think one of the reasons I favor the battle and push styles. If anything, actually, usually I end up playing more tactically in Baghdad and push because I know there are going to be enemies. The battlefield is full. I see a lot of times, sometimes in skirmish and firefight, where people will end up blitzing across because it's pretty empty, and you get to a point where you pretty much know where the people are. So it's.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
But I think ultimately it's all these modes can be played tactical. I think the game mechanics now, the new game mechanics, have really made it so that the game is more tactical. You can run and gun, sure, but you're going to be at a disadvantage. The sway is against you. The recoil is more when you're moving. If you have cover and you're being careful, you're always going to have the advantage. I feel like in battle and push, there's more of an incentive to gain ground and hold it, as opposed to just wipe the other team out, or just capture objectives to respawn the team or something. It feels more like you're trying to dominate the field. The capture points become more just about the objective. Just about winning the field, winning the day.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm really excited about the whole class feature. I know you guys are doing a lot more to it. But it's definitely, competitively, it adds a whole new level to the game. Different classes, different setups of your team. And given the freedom to do it also, that's huge for me. I kind of like going lightweight and flanking and being a bit faster on the playing field. And this game allows me to do that. It's just beautiful.
I can't wait to see some more, some custom, not more, but some custom theaters, to see some more asymmetry. I think that's going to be really fantastic. I know there's myself and some community members are planning on an asymmetrical theater, featuring push, such that, for instance, perhaps the security are more like Marine or Army, where they have to wear heavy armor, do not have access to armor, for instance. And so there's a lot of asymmetry there. So you have totally different play styles. You know.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, that's been, I think, in high demand. You know, people, when they see a realistic game, they think, well, it needs to be realistic kit and all that kind of loadout stuff, which I agree with to a certain extent, but then we get into the whole balancing issues, which, I mean, we've, by default, are going for a balanced gameplay. But yeah, having that custom theater, you know, setting up the core gameplay component so it can be customized, so that is possible, is a big reason why we can go with the balanced, is because we know that people will customize it. It's kind of like the same philosophy when it comes to these classic maps, in a way where we knew that it's a lot, easier for the community just to port them over, while we can focus on creating new content, new maps, and experimenting with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited because there's a lot of potential in the way the game is being developed for people to create new content, and it'll be relatively simple to create, a new theater with new weapons and custom maps and everything. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what the community creates. I know I'm planning on creating a Insurgency Classic theater.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was thinking about. Somebody needs to make a classic one, so it feels the same.
I made a classic mod before too.
Yeah, exactly.
So all I have to do is adapt that to the changes, because that was back in March that I made the classic mod. And now we have actual classic maps, so it's gonna be great to see that. The classic will obviously be much more run and gun. I think the classic mod will end up being like the arcade theater because, in IN's mod, I mean, there's hardly any sway at all. There's much less recoil. Although it's interesting that the movement speed is slower, and I would like to equate that a little bit.
Yeah, personally, I kind of feel like the sprinting in particular at the lighter weight are a little fast currently in the game, which I think they could be scaled back a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, when it comes to doing the classic mod, a lot of people thought, well, why can't you just make the game just like the mod? Because that would be, people would get it. But, I mean, we should, as developers, providing a new experience by default, right, and then allowing.
It was groundbreaking. It was fantastic. It was ahead of its time, and I think it really set the bar for a lot of tactical shooters at the time.
Well, shooters in general.
They've come shooters in general have come so far since then. We have to come up to the new standards. And plus that there's so many great ways to improve upon the mechanics of the game and make it more tactical, to make it the combat more intense. And I think that's important because, I mean, in the mod, the recoil system never had a chance to get overhauled and get the attention it deserved. There were always issues with the recoil. I mean, as long as you kept it just the same. But I remember when I was making War Mod for INS mod, it was very painful trying to work with the recoil system because it just wouldn't budge. It create a lot of issues. Whereas here, my gosh, these systems are just, I mean, what we have is so amazingly tweakable. And I'm glad because it's given me so much freedom to find that sweet spot for recoil, sway, movement, the whole package. And I believe some enhancements are going to be coming. I'm actually jumping back onto those values. I haven't touched them in I think 2 months. Because I've been wanting, we hit such a nice spot. I wanted to feel that out for 2 months, see how people got into it, see how they, especially after once beta hit, because we had such a tremendous change to this new theater system so that people could eventually, after release a lot of custom content, custom theaters, custom weapons. It's so highly moddable.
What the hell?
And now I think I've gotten to a point where I can start pushing towards the ideal again. And really it doesn't need much. I mean, we're so close. We're 90, I would say we're 95% there. So really the rest of the 5% is just tweaking and little things.
You just go there and camp. No matter if it's...
Well, I definitely like
this damn flashlight.
I like how it is now with it just immerses you much more than it did in the mod.
Yeah, you say it.
Right. I think it really is those subtleties that make all the difference. That's what I've striven for. I've always strived for is creating these subtle effects. You know, not going overboard with recoil or sway, but doing heavy testing to the point where they're subtle enough to have a profound effect on gameplay, but only if you're paying close attention. But what those subtleties do is it immerses you. You know, there are all these little things, and they're not just trivial. You know, Insurgency takes a completely different approach. There's not, the weapon sway isn't a cone of fire, the recoil isn't a cone of fire. They're all very visceral effects. They're all very physical, palpable, almost haptic effects, which is excellent. Oh, yeah, almost prevented that cap. So close.
They were fast too.
Lion and cap.
It's like they played this game before.
Yeah, they already preempted.
Already in
Bravo.
That's me.
Just go under the bridge and kill them while they're spawning. He's dead. Get to be.
Anyway, I think that just about wraps up our hour now. So does anyone else have any other questions or last minute things they want to chime in about?
Any of the Twitch viewers?
We had a couple questions. We had one about workshop support, which I kind of answered in the chat, whether we're going to get it upon release, and I think that is something we are working towards actually implementing in the next few months, is getting Steam Workshop support, so we can get, the community on there, creating the content, uploading theaters, uploading custom maps, all that kind of good stuff. Models and textures. Otherwise, if you tune in next week, it will be a good show. I don't know how much you want to say about it, but we're going to definitely be showing off our new VIP game mode. Hopefully our new kind of horde co-op mode called Outpost. We'll see how that goes, but we do have an update coming up for you very soon, which we will hopefully show off next weekend. So once again, thank you for joining us. Thanks to Zeke especially for being our special guest this week and putting in all that effort for porting over these awesome classic maps. We're just going to have a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. These maps have just completed the experience for me.
That was my pleasure.
All right. Well, if you're still watching Twitch and you have the game, you should hop in and join us. We're on Jihad's Palace of INS mod. You can download the maps from the forums if you want to kind of preemptively do that. And we'll see you in game.